Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be starting with the discussion of the chapter, the third level, which is the first chapter of your book, Vistas. And it is written by Jack Finney. Let us know something about the author, Jack Finney. Walter Bratton Jack Finney, born John Finney, October 2, 1911, was an American author. His best-known works are science fiction and thrillers, including The Body Snatchers and Time and Again. The former was the basis for the 1956 film Invasion of the Body Snatchers and its remakes. Now, when we read about Jack Finney was an American novelist, and most of his works were either of sci-fi or thriller. And this story, that is the third level, is also on the same lines, where you can see that the harsh reality and the fantasy of the main character, they mix together. We see the intermingling of these two effects, and on top of that, we see that lines of reality and illusion seem to be blurred in the story. You will become more clear on this point when we discuss the story. So this story, the third level, it is a personal account of our protagonist, that is our main character, Charlie. Charlie is a 31-year-old man and who works in New York City. Now, he starts, the chapter starts with the introduction of his lifestyle. So, the narrator's lifestyle, that is Charlie's lifestyle. You know how the world is so stressful, people want to escape and all of that. And now, after this brief introduction, narrator tells us about how when one time he was traveling back home through the Grand Central Station, he was to take a subway. He was to take a train from Grand Central Station. So one time he had an unusual experience while traveling back home. So what was that unusual experience? So, the narrator tells us that there are only two levels of this Grand Central Station. Two levels can be referred to two floors. There are only two levels of the station. But while traveling back home one day, he experienced the third level too. Only he experienced this, and although he experienced it, he could find many clues that yes, he had traveled to the third level. He could not give evidence to the people he narrated this incident to. So when he found the third level, he narrated this experience to his friend. When he traveled to the third level accidentally, he narrated this incident to his friend. His friend was also his psychiatrist. So that person also told Charlie that you saw nothing in reality, but the third level which you experienced at the Grand Central Station was nothing but your escape from reality. You are under so much stress. The world nowadays is not so peaceful. We are in constant exposure to news of war, anxiety, pressure, monetary pressure, peer pressure. Everything is surrounding us in today's world. So you just wanted an escape from it, and the third level that experience was just an escape. So now the specific term that the psychiatrist uses is walking dream wish fulfillment. That's the same phenomena I was talking about. That as Charlie was under so much pressure, he was under so much stress, he wanted an escape. He wanted an escape from this stressful life. So that is why he saw the third level while traveling back home one day. So now we come to know what Charlie experienced at the third level. Now when he reached the third level, we are also told about the narrator in detail about about this Grand Central Station where he experienced the third level. Now he tells us that this Grand Central Station is like a maze. There are so many routes. There are so many routes, and each route takes us to another platform, and all of these things. And one time, the narrator tells us that he entered a hotel while walking to a platform. And also, he sets up a very interesting image that it is like Gyan Central Station is like a tree with many roots in all over the city. So, he tells us that how architecturally enlarging the Grand Central Station is, how it is growing day by day, not day by day, but how it's growing, how it has grown since many years. So now we come to know the real experience that the narrator has at the third level. Now, when the narrator reaches the third level by mistake, while looking for the train back home, he experiences an architecturally old building. As you can see in this picture, train stations like these, we do not see stations like these anymore. With such old architecture, vintage architecture. And he saw a fewer number of ticket counters there, and he saw gas lights. These are the gas lights which I'm talking about. The gas lights and all of the old architectural components that he saw in the third level. And another interesting thing he saw, that the people were dressed in an old fashion there. Men were wearing the suits of 1880s time, and the women were having hairstyles of that time. So he got a little confused that where am I? Is this reality? So to cross check this, he started looking around. So the first thing that made him realize that he was really in the era of 1880s was that a pile of newspapers that was lying beside him. So this newspaper was dated 11 June 1894. You could also be asked the name of the newspaper which Charlie saw, to make sure that he really traveled back to the time of 1880s through the third level. So the name of that newspaper was The World. So he was pretty sure that yes, I have traveled to the time of 1880s, and this was the newspaper that was published at that time. So now he's sure, and when he came sure, instead of panicking, instead of running here and there, what he thought was that I should take myself and Louisa, my wife, to Galesburg. Now, Galesburg was where his grandfather lived, where Charlie's grandfather lived. So he thought that it's such a peaceful town, with large lawns and such peaceful environment, where people are not concerned about maintaining their hi-fi lifestyle. So I should take Louisa there. What I should do is I should purchase 2 tickets for me and Louisa. So when he goes to the ticket counter to buy the tickets, he gives the money to the representative sitting there. But when he takes out the notes, what he realizes that he's giving the present currency to the person sitting there. But as you know, that at that time, at the time of 1894, who would take the currency of the time of around the starting of the 20th century? So who would take that currency? Who would take the present times currency in 1894? So this worried the representative a little, that this person is handing me the wrong currency, and he warned Charlie that you do not do such pranks on me, and go back, and or I will call the police. So Charlie gets terrified, and he feels that yes, at that time the system of law and order was very harsh. So what I did was I came back from there. So he escaped from there, and he got back to his wife. The next day itself, he exchanged $200, the present $200 worth of currency for the old currency. $300, sorry, $300 is a huge amount. But Charlie didn't worry about this because he knew that in exchange for old currency, it would cost him less, cheaper. It would cost him cheaper. So he didn't worry about spending this much money on buying old currency. So he thought that if I would buy old currency, I would be able to go to Galesburg with Lisa. So after exchanging $300 for old currency, Charlie tries finding the third level again and again with Lisa. But whenever he goes to find it, both of them do not find it. Now this, constant pursuit of the third level at the Grand Central Station made Lisa worry that is Charlie okay? Is he? Are there? She started worrying about Charlie. That why is he so obsessed with reaching there again? So this made her worry a little, and she told him that you should stop looking the third level. You should not stop looking for it, and you should concentrate on other important things. So now all of this happens, and Charlie now slowly starts forgetting about the third level. So now what? Now we are left with an unexpected ending in the chapter. So after many days of this incident, after he stopped his search for the third level at the Grand Central Station, Charlie one day is scrolling through the stamp collection of his grandfather. Now, his grandfather, as I told, was from Galesburg. So when the psychiatrist, friend of Charlie, tells him that he experienced his walking wish fulfillment phenomena. So Charlie gives an argument in concern of this. He says that if I am escaping the present world, if I am doing something to escape this present world, then my grandfather also engaged in the hobby of stamp collection. But the time then was very peaceful. Nobody had any problems to deal with. Problems like anxiety and war and depression and all of these problems were not prevalent at that time. If they were even present, nobody bothered to come forward and address them. So how would you justify that? My grandfather didn't take the hobby of stamp collection as an escape. So the mention of grandfather's stamp collection there is also an important part of the story, also important link of the story. And when I mentioned the stamp collection, I felt that you should be familiar with this piece of information too. So when Charlie is going through the stamp collection of his grandfather one day, he finds a letter. He finds a letter which was not previously there because it was his daily habit go through this collection. So one day when he was scrolling through the stamp collection, he found a letter which was not earlier there. So when he opened the letter, one shocking detail he found was that it was addressed to his grandfather's address in 1894 in Galesburg. It had the picture of President Garfield, and it had the picture of President Garfield, and it also was sent by Sam, the psychiatrist friend of Charlie. So how can Sam send a letter to Charlie's grandfather's address back in 1894? So this is a confusion that we have to deal with. So what is the letter? What is the content of the letter that Sam addresses to Charlie? Sam writes that he has found the third level, and he has traveled to Galesburg. He has set up a new business there, and he invites Charlie and Louisa to come and settle themselves in the era of 1894 again, because it's quite peaceful here. And he had started an hay and grain business because, his job of a psychiatrist would not be feasible in that era. So this is an interesting twist to the story because Sam was the only one with whom Charlie shared the experience of third level. So कहीं ना कहीं हमें इससे ये भी पता लगता है कि Sam also wanted an escape from this harsh reality, from this harsh present condition that he was living in. So instead of helping, in the first half of the story, he was telling Charlie that you are looking for an escape yourself. But in the end, we are left with a very amusing ending that he himself found the third level and reached there. And another small detail that we are given with that is that uh, later Charlie found that Sam had exchanged $800 for old currency from a exchange uh, shop. So this also is an interesting detail to the story. So all in all, what we can see is that all of the main characters of the story, they are at constant struggle to realize what is real for them and what is their fantasy. What they are experiencing is real or an illusion. So this is the central theme of the story. Another emerging theme of the story is that today's world is so stressful. Today we have to cope up with so many things. We have to keep up with ourselves and our peers, our colleagues. We are in so much of pressure that we always want an escape. So that is why such mental tricks are played with us by ourselves. This tells us that this is an amusing theme that this chapter deals with a very subtle storyline. That's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.